Hi, everyone. Thank you all so much for clearing your schedules today so that we could have a quick call about the 2018 FASD Prevention Grant. I'm Sarah Brown, who you all know from the many emails that I've sent to you in the past few months. I work at MOFAS as a Public Awareness Coordinator, and I manage the FASD Prevention Grant. Our call today will probably be between 15 and 20 minutes, and it will provide an overview of the prevention grant that your organization has received. With that, let's begin. Well, some of you are returning grantees. Several of you are new to the FASD Prevention Grant and might not be as familiar with MOFAS, so I'm going to give a brief overview of our organization. The Minnesota Organization on Fetal Alcohol Syndrome, or MOFAS, is a nonprofit organization based in St. Paul that serves the entire state of Minnesota. Much of our funding comes from the Minnesota Department of Health, and each year we distribute about $500,000 of this funding through our grants focused on FASD prevention and support programming. Much of MOFAS's FASD prevention work occurs through this grant and the outreach that you and your organizations do. So thank you so much for being a part of this grant. You help us share the Zero for 9 message in communities that we might not otherwise be able to reach, and we are so grateful for the opportunity to collaborate with you. This year, 11 organizations were awarded the FASD Prevention Grant. This includes nonprofits, public health departments, schools, and clinics located across the state. 55% of this year's grant recipients are receiving this grant for the first time, and 5 organizations have received our prevention grant in the past and are returning grantees. This year's grantees are the American Indian Family Center, Face to Face, Fathers Rise Together, Kennebec County Community Health, McKinley Early Childhood Center, Minneapolis American Indian Center, Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center, New Ulm Early Childhood Family Education, Northfield Public Schools, Wabasha County Public Health, and Westside Community Health Services. We are so excited to have you all as 2018 grantees. What we'll be discussing during this conference call is your requirements as a grantee, what resources are available to you, how to obtain MOFAS speakers and materials, how to promote your event, and what type of reporting you will need to submit after you've completed your events. Your major requirement as a grantee is, of course, to complete your event as described in your contract and within the specified budget by June 30th. Please be sure to check your contract to see if any changes have been made to what you request in your application, whether that be with the budget or with specific event details. If you have any questions about changes or just the contract in general, please let me know. The next requirement is that no later than 30 days before your event, you confirm your event details with us to ensure that the contract is being followed and everything is good to go. We want to be sure that we have the date, time, and location right, and that you're going to include the activities listed in your contract. When you're promoting your event, another requirement of this grant is that you include the MOFAS logo on all materials, as well as sponsor acknowledgement by stating that the event is made possible by a grant from MOFAS. The sponsor acknowledgement rules are all found in your grantee toolkit, which we will discuss in a moment. You will also send your promotional materials to me before you share them, so that I'm able to double check that the sponsor acknowledgement requirements are being fulfilled. Finally, after you've finished your event, you will turn in your final narrative report and final financial report. We'll talk about the details of these reports towards the end of the PowerPoint. It is very important that you're all aware of the financial requirements associated with this grant. One thing that is especially important to know is that while you've been approved for a set total amount, you're also expected to stay within budget for each category, such as food or prizes. We can typically be flexible about moving money from one category to another as needed, but it's very important that you request the budget change before making any purchases outside of your approved budget. Purchases made outside of the pre-approved budget may not be reimbursed. So if there are any changes you would like to make, please contact me in advance so that we're able to approve the changes and mark them in our records. If you spend over an approved category budget amount, we will not be able to reimburse you the amount that you overspent, even if there's leftover funding in another category. That's why it is so important to let us know in advance if you need to make any changes, so when the grant ends, we can fully reimburse you for all of your purchases. When you submit your final final financial report at the end of the grant period, you will have to include receipts for your purchases. You will only have to submit receipts for expenses over $100, but we ask that you hold on to all of your receipts, regardless of amount, until the grant period is over. That way, you'll have records of all of your purchases, which is helpful in case any questions or concerns arise during the grant period. If you'd like to submit all of your receipts, I always appreciate having extra detailed records, but again, you're only required to submit receipts for expenses over $100. It is also important to note that there are rules and limitations on what can be purchased within the different categories. This is usually an issue in the prizes category. For example, if you're going to purchase gift cards to give out as prizes, they cannot be more than $20 each, or we will not be able to reimburse you. Please be sure that if you're buying multiple gift cards, that you buy them individually and not as a pack. For example, some stores offer those gift card packs where there might be 5 cards that are worth $20 each, but the pack itself costs $100. Please do not purchase those, but instead purchase each gift card individually, because we cannot reimburse for gift packs or cards that cost more than $20 total. The funding can also not be used to purchase anything considered equipment. This includes things like iPods and Fitbits, which people sometimes want to purchase as prizes. While those can make for great gift incentives, please know that they cannot be purchased or reimbursed through this grant money. You can, however, seek donations for those items if you do want to offer them as prizes. Equipment also includes things like tables or projectors. So if you need either those or similar items for your event, please know that you're not able to use this funding for those purchases, but instead should seek out donations. If you have any questions about whether something is eligible or not, please reach out to me before making the purchase, because we want to make sure that all of your purchases are approved and fully reimbursable. We've tried to put together a number of resources to help support you during this grant period. One of the major resources you'll want to utilize is our online grantee toolkit, which is on our website. So to get to the online grantee toolkit, you'll go to the MoFAS website, which is mofas.org, click on grants, and then over here, select grantee toolkit. Here we will find the logos that need to go on your promotional materials, and the sponsor acknowledgement statements, templates for flyers and press releases that you're not obligated to use, but are there if you need them, statistics that you can share, the MoFAS order form so that you can order free materials, and then here at the bottom you can also find the final reports that you'll need to complete after finishing your events. These reports are also in your contracts, so you may also pull them from there. Your contract is definitely a resource that you'll want to use throughout the grant process, as it includes the specific event details that have been agreed upon, as well as the details for your approved budget. If you have any questions or concerns during the grant process, if you have any questions or concerns during the grant process, I'm, of course, a resource that you can use. You can email me anytime or call the office. Our number is 651-917-2370. I'm typically in the office from 7:30 to 3:30, and you can always leave a voicemail if you're not able to get through to me. I'm typically pretty quick about returning emails and calls. Finally, you can use your fellow grantees as a resource. If you recognize an organization on the list of grantees and know someone there, feel free to reach out to them if you have questions, or if you might want someone from the organization to be involved in your event as a speaker or staff in a booth if you're offering a resource area during your event. Some of the grantees have received this grant multiple times now, and they have experience with it and can be an excellent resource. I can also help connect grantees if there's an organization you'd like to reach out to but don't know who to contact. If you've requested a speaker in your application, we will try to get one for you. Please be sure to send me the details of when you would like a speaker, how long you would like them to speak, and what type of presentation you would prefer. A speech, a PowerPoint presentation, a Q&A session, or something else that would best fit the needs of your community. We can also provide all grantees with free MoFAS materials. As you've probably seen on the order form online or in your contract, we have onesies, chapsticks, hand sanitizers, window clings, brochures, and other great materials that you can distribute at your events. The order forms can be found in the grantee toolkit as well as in your contract. We ask that you submit your orders at least 30 days before your event so that we can ensure they get to you on time. You can email or fax the forms to me, and you can also submit your order online on the MoFAS website. When promoting your event, please remember that you must submit all materials to MoFAS at least 30 days before your event. This is so we can either approve them or let you know if there are any changes to make, and so that once they're approved, we can share them on our own social media as an additional way to get the word out about your events. When making promotional items, be sure that you're including the MoFAS logo and sponsor statement on them. And again, those can be found in your online grantee toolkit. After you've completed your events, you will submit both a final narrative report and final financial report. These need to be submitted within 2 weeks after your event is completed. Some of you are hosting multiple events, and if that's the case, you will just submit one final report after your last event, rather than completing a report for each individual event. Both of these reports can be found on the Grantee Toolkit, and I think that it's very important to look them over before you host your event so that you know what kinds of things you will need to report. We'll go over both reports briefly, but you'll want to look them over more thoroughly before your events. So on the final financial report, which again is in your contract and also on the online Grantee Toolkit, you will categorize your expenses based on what you were approved for in your contract. In each category, you'll list what items you purchased and then list both the amount that you were approved for and how much you actually spent. If you have a question about how something should be categorized, please reach out to me, ideally before you even make the purchase. As we talked about earlier, you have to stay within the budget you've been approved for each category. So we want to make sure that you don't accidentally buy something for supplies, for example, that actually falls under activities. When you fill out and submit your final financial report, you'll also need to submit a final narrative report, which looks like this. This report essentially gives a detailed overview of your event and includes an event summary, information about how you incorporated FASD prevention, how you promoted your event, and other things related to the planning and implementation of your event. On this report, you will also include information about your impact and your reach. You'll include details about how many people attended, how many people you reached over social media, and what the demographics of your attendees were. You're not required to collect this data through surveys or anything like that, but we do ask that you give, at the very least, an educated guess about who attended your event. We also ask that you please attach any photos that you took during your event. We love sharing your stories and your photos, so please, please, please submit them with your final report so that we can share them on our website and our social media. Again, these reports need to be submitted within 2 weeks of your final event, and after we've received both of your reports, we will release payment to you within 45 days. So I know this is a lot of information all at once, so we'll open it up to questions, and then of course you can always email or call me with any questions that you have throughout the entire grant period. I'm here as a resource to you, and I want to help you in any way I can when it comes to this grant. So thank you.